Hello YouTubers and groovers, you know what time it is. It's Take the Fear Out the Gear with me, Jason Bangers.
And me, Mr. Chumley Warner.
Today,
part 1. We look at Akai S900 sampler and we install a Gotek floppy disk drive emulator.
Oh, suit you sir, Gotek floppy disk emulator.
Gotek USB, sir.
Let's have a look.
Right, here we have a Akai S900 digital sampler, and we're going to do a bit of repair and restoration on this one. You can see on the top here I've already taken off the 2 rack ears. It's just 4 screws in each one. What we'll do is we'll just switch it on. So yeah, it's come on. Tone program. As you can, I don't know if you can see or not, but the actual display's working, but the backlight is so dull I can't actually read it from here. So that's going to be one of the things we're going to do. We'll either replace the backlight or maybe put in one of these new LCD screens in. I've ordered a couple of screens, so they're on their way. The other thing here, it seems to be missing the big grey knob here. I've ordered one of those, so we'll fit that when it comes. And then the main thing I'm going to do today is we're going to put a Gotek floppy drive emulator in and see if we can get it working with the Akai. Right, the next stage, you can see here, this is the 4 screws where the rack handles are. And we've taken off a screw here, same on the other side, and then right in the middle here at the top there's a screw there, and then we should be able to slide it out. And there's the top of the Akai sampler. Right, I've taken these connectors out. You can see there's a little floppy one. That was quite easy to get out. Just put that down there, and that's got to poke down the gap there. This one here, quite difficult to get out, so carefully put it out, and maybe put one of your fingers on the board as you're pulling it out just to support the board so you don't move the board. Now we're going to flip the sampler over, and there's 4 screws on the bottom we need to take out so we can slide the floppy drive out. What we've done is the bottom panel here, there's a plate here, 9 screws. It just means you can get your hand in behind the floppy drive to push it out. Also here, I managed to take off the connector from there as well, which makes it easier. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 screws you need to take out because they're screwed into the bottom of the floppy drive. Then, all I've done just to make it slightly easier, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 screws. I just haven't taken them out, I've just loosened them, just to loosen the cage because it's quite tight in these samplers. I don't know if it's the same for all of them. And then just gently, it's a bit of a thing, and there is your floppy drive. So that's come out, and then we'll see how the emulator might fit in there. I should also mention we've taken the front plate off. 1, 2, 3 screws there, and on the other side 1, 2, 3. Comes off really easily, and there's some little spacers that come out. Just watch those and collect those. There's 6 of them. Just got the floppy emulator. I've just put 2 screws in the bottom from the 2 holes there just to secure it for the moment. I've also plugged in the 2 floppy leads at the back of the emulator. On this side I've plugged them back into the main circuit board. So before we go any further, we will stick a USB stick in and see if anything works. What I've done is I've loaded some Akai discs onto, you see down here, the USB stick. I've discovered that you need to label them like before. I think it's DSKA000, and then the file extension is .akai. So apparently the first one on the emulator, which I got off the internet, is the Akai welcome disc. So if I press the play button here, you'll hear it's loaded the samples.
Welcome to the Akai S900 Operation Guide Disc.
So what we'll do now is, because I've only on the emulator, I've only put 2 screws in because I didn't know if I had to take it out again. But that seems to be working, so I'll put the other 2 screws in. We'll put the faceplate back on and we'll see how we get on. Right, the sampler's upside down. We'll put this plate back on here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 screws. Top tip, definitely worth taking that plate off because it enables you to get behind here and push the old drive out, and then it's easy to help support the emulator as well. This 1, 2, 3, 4, there's screws going there into the bottom of your emulator. And what I also did when I took the floppy drive out, these screws here, 1, 2, 3, 4, I've just loosened them slightly so I could take the floppy drive out. I've left them loose for the moment, so when I put the faceplate on, there's a little bit of adjustment there. So next we'll put on the faceplate. Right, we've got the faceplate back on. A little tip here, because you've got 1, 2, 3 screws on the top, 3 screws on the bottom, and there's little They look like little washers that just slip underneath this grey bit here. What I discovered was, put the screws on the bottom first. That's my top tip, because otherwise it's impossible. Bottom first, then do the top, because with the top you've got plenty of room to just put the washers in. So that's the way to do that. Got the knobs back on the front. Emulator's looking good. I've tightened those 4 screws up, so that's nice and tight there. We'll just put the lid on, put the rack ears on, see what happens. So there we have it. The emulator's in, and now we're just waiting for the knob for here to arrive, and we're waiting for a screen to arrive because that screen is so dull I can't even read it. So it's time for the Akai to say goodbye, or maybe welcome.
Welcome to the Akai S900 Operation Guide Disc.
Fantastic, that's just what you need. They're great things, aren't they? And I must just say, have a look at Simon's earlier video if you want to know how to install all the software and that to get that thing working. There's a lot more to it than what you've shown in this particular video, but Simon's already done one explaining it all, so that's why we didn't put it in this particular program, because why regurgitate?
And the other thing is, if you're a fan of the Akai S900, we've also done a video on it with some sounds and samples, so have a look at that as well.
So we hope you've enjoyed that video, ladies and gentlemen, tubers and groovers. It's goodbye from me, Jason Bangers.
And it's goodbye from me, Mr. Chumley Warner.
Don't forget to hit the bell, hit the like, don't forget to subscribe. Take care from Take the Fear Out of Gear.